What's up, Angel Gang, gang, gang? So it's your girl Chelsea Angel. I'm back with another video. This is another Nigerian visa video, but this time I'm going to be responding to my sister's video that she did, her little story time on her Nigerian trip video where she had a meltdown. I'll link that video somewhere in here. But I'm doing a little response to that because I thought that I'm making all these videos about the visa, but I should be letting y'all know like what happened and what was the whole experience behind it. So that's kind of what I'm going to be doing. So if y'all want to see that, then just stick around for my experience, get why I had to get my Nigerian visa, why I had to travel, why was it a rush, everything involved. If you want to hear that, stay tuned. We decided to stay. This is my Nigerian trip story time. Getting our visas, getting the tickets, getting the vaccines in about less than like a month. So we'll just get straight into the story. So it starts, and if you haven't watched my sister's video, watch it. I did link it. I'll link it below and tag it in the video. So the story starts, it's a little sad why we were going. Of course, my granddad passed away. So when we got the call, which was, I'll give you dates so you can kind of know like why it was such a rush. So he did pass away January 11th, 2020. So when we got that call, you know, we just knew what was going on, and we didn't know as far as the funeral or anything. We didn't know what would happen or anything. So my mother was already in London with family and my granddad. So she was the one that was giving us all the information. So we were just kind of waiting for everyone to kind of plan and see what everything would be. So we were talking, of course, back and forth, but we officially had like a group chat maybe about a week later from when my granddad passed. We had like a big group chat with my dad, my sisters, and my mom. We had a big group chat, and my mom let us know about the date, which would be February 18th, 19th, and 20th. So if you're Nigerian or familiar with Nigerian culture, you know, like funerals don't happen like in that next week. Like it takes like a while. And of course, with my granddad being in London, they had to get the body back to Lagos next week. Like here in America, like if someone was to pass away, like you would have the funeral no later than the next week. Like you're having that funeral, like you don't wait. January 15th, 16th, around that time when we found out the dates of the funeral. So we decided that we were all gonna go. So 3 of us are on the East Coast in the same area in the Carolinas. 1 of us is on the West Coast. My sister is on the West Coast who did the video. So she had to do her stuff separately from ours. We did ours together. Me, my dad, and my son did ours together. At the time, my son was 8. So after we decided that we were gonna go, we were researching, and we kind of were like, we were looking at the visa sites, and we were like, oh, we don't know how we're gonna do this like in a month, like less than a month. It is January 16th and the funeral starts February 18th. How are we going to get tickets, visas, passports, everything in time for the funerals? We just start getting on the ball with everything. We researched everything. My mom was helping, but of course, think about it, like she was grieving, so we didn't want to like bother her, but she was a big help too. But it was like on our end, we had to do what we had to do. Like we had to get it done. So we were like researching. So we immediately, like, we filled out the application for the visa. We paid for it online. We made our appointments and everything. We did all that, and we had to get vaccines. That is very important. You cannot get into Nigeria without yellow fever vaccine. That is the only one. Doesn't matter. But if you don't have yellow fever and you don't have that yellow card, you can't get in. So we were looking everywhere for the vaccine for yellow fever, and when I tell you there was a shortage on it, it was like such a shortage. I don't know why. And this all happened like right before coronavirus started. Coronavirus, it started around like mid-March, and we were doing all this in January. So like I feel like all of those clinics and places that we called, they knew something was coming, and they knew about coronavirus, because every place we would call, they would be like really funny on the phone, and they would be like, no, we're not doing yellow fever at all. We're not doing travel vaccines. We're not doing anything. Or they would give us a really big price, or they would say it was booked out. So like I kept calling places, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we only have a month to get this done. And meanwhile, like, we're all working. We all have working schedules. So we're trying to get this done within our working schedules. So I had 2 Wednesdays that I requested to take off from work. We made the visa appointment on January 29th. We got our visa appointment on January 29th. So we drove to Atlanta. This is the OIS in Atlanta. We drove there. We had to leave like at 5 a.m. in the morning to get there like at 9 when they open up, to be there, like be the first one there. Because if you know anything about that, you want to be the first one there. Like, you want to be the first one there. I think our appointment was at like 1:30, but we was like, nah, we gonna be the first one in line, and they're just gonna take us. So we was there with all our documents and everything. So we got there, and guess what? My dad didn't have his passport. Yeah, so and that is what they literally stamp your visa in. Like, if you don't have anything, you need your passport. So we got there, and we're getting out. We're looking for, like, we're getting our paperwork together. Like, I had me and my son's paperwork in one big folder. I had everything, like, even stuff I didn't need. I just had it. Got there, and he didn't have it. He didn't have his passport. So I can laugh now, but then we were just quiet. We were just like, oh my gosh, we drove 3.5 hours to get here, and it was so stressful, like, to this point, because it was like getting everything done, getting the appointments, finding the vaccine appointments, finding this and that. We got here, and oh my God, we forgot one thing. So anyways, I was like, no, let's go. We're here. Let's go in. Let's do what we could do. So we went in. We had our interview. We went through everything. We did the interview, and at the end, of course, she asked for our passports. Well, we accidentally forgot our dad's passport. I don't know what Ken. She said, oh my gosh. She's like, there's nothing I can do. She's like, there's nothing I can do without the passport. That's the main thing you need, which is true. Like, that is what they stamp it in. They stamp the visa and the passport. So you need your passport. But she was nice enough to allow us to do everything else. She let us do everything else, the biometrics, which are the fingerprints, height and weight, all that stuff. She did all of ours, even my dad's, all the paperwork, everything. My dad had to drive back to Atlanta the next day, back down there, another 3 hours there, another 3 hours back to take his passport. But he got it there, and that was so stressful. I was like, oh my gosh. So we thought, and then when we said that, she said, well, his will be a day late. His, because she could process ours already, but his would be processed the next day. So we were like, wow. So we just put that aside, and then we did that. So the next week we had the appointment for Clemson, and it's getting close, like close. This is the last week before we go. February 5th. February 5th was the day that we got. That was the next Wednesday. That was a week from our visa appointment. So we had to drive to Clemson, and that's like 3.5 hours as well. So we get there, and everything went pretty smooth there. We didn't have a lot of problems there, and the nurses were very nice, and they explained everything to us. It was just very expensive. The yellow fever, typhoid, and malaria pills. We got our shots. They all let us come in one room. We got everything done. It was very quick. We were in and out. She explained everything, but we were in and out. So at this point, all we needed was the visas. Well, no. So at this point, we needed to book tickets because we had been, meanwhile, through all of this, we had been searching for tickets, and tickets are so expensive to Lagos. They are so expensive. They're just expensive. $1,000 a person. They're just very expensive because this was still last notice, so no one had like savings for a trip, or so we found some, but they had multiple layovers. I think that's the catch with tickets that are cheaper. They have like the multiple layovers. But we were like, whatever. At that point, we were like, whatever we can get, let's get them. So we ordered one set of tickets, and something happened. I don't know. It was like the payment didn't go through. So like the card locked up and held it. Even though the money was there, it like rejected it because it was like, no, 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 no. So it canceled all the tickets that we had put all the tickets together, all 4 tickets, and it canceled them. And we were like, wow. Oh my gosh. So we literally had to find whatever we could find. 4 more tickets we had to find, and we found them. And then we had to call the bank and be like, look, this is what we're doing. It's going to be some charges. It's going to be some expensive charges on there. So once we called them, it was fine. We were able to get the tickets, but they were more expensive. The tickets we booked, they were leaving Sunday, February 16th and coming back Friday, February 21st. So at this point, we were just waiting on our visas. We were all waiting, me, my dad, and my son on the East Coast. We were waiting on our visas from Atlanta because they had to mail them to you. And my sister on the West Coast was waiting on her visas. And we were told that it was no expedited and there was no thing as a rush visa. So literally, well, on Thursday, we called them and we were like, on Thursday, February 14th, we called them and we said, are the visas going to be here in time? And we just did not get any answers. We were getting like, you can't rush it. It's 10 days out. It's 10 days from me, 10 business days. And then also, President's Day was around then, so it was a holiday, so we couldn't count that day. So they were like, it would be delayed even more. So we were just panicking. We were like, oh my gosh, we have everything done. We had everything done. We got our vaccines. We got the tickets finally. We have everything done. We're just waiting on our visas to come back. And so Friday, February 15th, my dad drove to Atlanta, And he sat at he got there when they opened, and he sat there, and he told them that he wanted the visas. He came to pick them up, and they said they were not ready, and they didn't know when they would be ready. So he sat down in the OIS office in Atlanta, and he waited. He waited the whole day. He waited. And I was at work, and I was texting him, and I'm like, "Oh my God, did you get him? Did you get him yet?" And I was like, I was like, we're not gonna go. We're not gonna be able to get on the plane. There's no point. We don't have them, and they're telling us that we're not gonna get them, and it's a holiday. So my dad was like, no, he's gonna sit there. So he said he sat there the whole day and watched them take other people. He sat there in the office, and he just sat. So the OIS closes at like 5 p.m. So he said he would sit there until they closed. He said that the lady, she was a very nice lady that worked there. She came in, and she had an envelope. She had like mail in her hand, and then she handed him an envelope. It was like at 5 p.m. when they closed. And she was like, here you go, here's your visas. And he was like, oh my God. He texted everybody, and we was like, yes. It was so much. I was like, wow, because I didn't think we was going to go the next day. This was the day before. This was Friday, and our flight, this was Friday, and our flight was Sunday. They're not open Saturday. So it was no chance of going Saturday. You had to get it Friday, or we wouldn't be able to get it till Monday, and we would have to move the ticket. And then with more money wasted. So we were so excited. We were jumping. I was like, wow. So we were good. He drove up, and we left from Charlotte. So we left on Sunday, February 16th. We left to go. We had 2 layovers. Well, originally 2 layovers. We had 2 layovers to Detroit and 1 to France. Then we would be in Lagos. That's how the tickets were booked. So we flew from Charlotte to Detroit, and that was fine. Detroit is such a nice airport. I never been to that airport, but it was so nice. Like, I would fly there anytime. When we got to Detroit, we had a small little wait. It was nothing bad. They have a lot of food places and shopping in there, so it's really nice in there. So from Detroit, we flew to France. That was our international flight. We flew to France. So we got to France, and we got to the France airport. The France airport was nice as well. We got there, and we had like maybe a 1 to 2 hour layover, so we could check in at our flight maybe like an hour after we got there. So we waited at the gate. No one was there yet, so we got in line and we waited. We had our tickets. We had everything we needed. Our bags, our luggage, me, my son, my 8-year-old son, and my dad. We're in line. They're checking people through. People are getting on the plane. They're letting people board. And we get to the front, and we hear them call our name on the intercom. And we're like, did they call our name? So we went to the service desk. They said, come to the service desk. And we came, and they said that the flight was, they said the flight was overbooked. Well, they didn't say that, but basically that's what happened. They overbooked the flight, and we were kicked off. The 3 of us were kicked off. So if you don't know about that, they overbook flights, hoping that people don't show up, and they get the extra money, and everyone gets to go. But in this case, it didn't work because everyone showed up for their flight. Everyone showed up. And we got kicked off. But we paid for our ticket. We paid. We confirmed. We did everything. But they booted us off the flight. So we're stuck in Paris. We just stood there, and when they said that, I was like, what? I'm like, no, we have one more flight. I'm like, no, like there's no room. I'm like, no room. I'm like even if it's separate seats, like we have to get there because we have to be there. We have to be fitted for our clothing for the funeral. We have stuff to do, like, and they're like, ma'am, there's nothing we can do. Our options were to spend the night in France and get the flight out the next day to Lagos, or we could sit in the airport and wait until we got another connecting flight to another African country and then go to Lagos. So at this point, we're like, what? We don't know what to do. I'm like, I don't know where they're sending us. I don't know what country we're going to. Call my mom in the airport. We call my mom, and she's already in Nigeria. She already got to Nigeria before us. Honestly, I would have just spent the night in Paris. At this point, I was like, wow. I've been to Paris before, so I honestly would have just spent the night in Paris. They would have paid for our hotel and then the next flight. But my mom was like, no, like you have fittings. I have fittings. You have to be fitted because we had to be fitted for our special Nigerian outfits. We had to do a lot of stuff like that day, and that took a day from us. It took a day because we would have been there that day. So we just had to go with the option of doing another layover in another country and going to Lagos. So we ended up having to fly to Morocco. We flew to Morocco and then we flew to Lagos. When we got to Morocco, it was very interesting. There were birds in the airport flying around. It was very different. They were smoking in the airport. Like, it smelled like shisha and smoke. It was fine, but it's just like when you're not expecting to go somewhere, you're not expected to go somewhere. We had to wait in the Paris airport until so we got there at 10 a.m. and we had to wait until I think 8 p.m. that night, 9 p.m. that night. So think about having an 8-year-old in the airport, nowhere to go. They did give us food voucher, which was nice. No, it wasn't nice. It was what they should have did. The Paris airport did not have a lot of food options and hot food options and kid food options. They did not have a lot of that. Most of the time we had to pretty much just sit in the airport chairs and try to use the sketchy Wi-Fi and keep him entertained and all of that. It was just ugh. But when we got to Morocco, it was not expected. So it was just different. But I was glad we kind of got that experience. Morocco, we had to wait there for maybe an hour, not long. It was really unorganized in Morocco. I couldn't hear. It was not organized at all. So when we got to Lagos, we got there and we were like, wow, we're here. And as soon as we got off of the plane, it was unorganized as well. It was very unorganized. It was a lot of chaos. The airport is not it's just not, I don't know how to say it. It's just not what I would think an airport would be. We didn't know what was going on. And so when we got there, of course, my mom kind of warned us, but we didn't know fully. You won't know until you get there. So we did fly into Mutala, Muhammad International Airport in Lagos, Nigeria. So it was a shock when we got there. I'm not saying anything negative. It just was a shock. If you don't know, like once you get there, just say no. Like just say no. You don't need any help, because if you take help, then you're gonna have to dash. You're gonna have to dash, and you'll have no money left after you done dashed. Everybody dashing is like giving like a little bit of money, giving some money. Like, okay, you help me, I give you a little bit of money. You help me, I give you a little bit of money. Like, honestly, once I got through to get to my suitcase, like I was annoyed. Like I was like, get me out of here before I fight. Like I got a temper, so I was like, what? Like, nah, get me out of here. It was just it's funny looking back, because I know now, I know what to do. But if you don't know and you go into that airport, you gotta go in there like you know what you're doing. You can't go in there like you a tourist. You can't go in there like you a tourist. You gotta go in there like you know what you're doing. So anyway, we got there, and my mom was up front waiting for us, but it was just a hassle to get through each area. If y'all want me to go into detail about that, I can, because I don't know. Like, it was a real shock for me, and I don't know if anybody else had that experience, or is it just me? Y'all tell me if I'm wrong, okay? But anyway, so we got there. My mom was there, the driver was there. And we was good. After that, we were with people we knew, so it was fine. Like, she knew. She was like, no, like we don't need help, we got it. So we got there, we got to the car and everything. Meanwhile, so we got there, we're good. My sister is on the West Coast. She was leaving that day, but if you watch her video, you'll see what happened. So go watch her video. I won't say what happened, but you go watch her video. Anyway, so we got there, and we immediately went back to the hotel, and then it was actually my dad's birthday that day we got there. So later that day we went out to the mall and ate, and then the next days were the actual funeral days. It's 3 days. It's a big event. It's a big thing. Yeah, that was our experience. And so, like, I hope y'all can kind of see now, like, where I'm coming from when I'm talking about our visa and how stressful it was. It was so stressful. Like, I wanted to give up. Every day, I think I told my dad, I was like, no, I'm just not going. Just take me out. Just take me out. But I love my granddad so much, and I wanted to be there. Like, I was gonna be there no matter what. Now we know, like, how to do it. We know, and I love Lagos. Like, but yeah, so that was my Nigerian trip, getting our visas, tickets, vaccine stories. So if you got any questions or feedback, leave them in the comments below. I'll be back with another one. Mwah.